Hello and welcome to Sports Fan Entertainment, here to recap the Minnesota Vikings beating the Green Bay Packers 16-0. Yes, that is right. I am recapping a game, and it is not played by the Tennessee Titans. We're going to talk about the Vikings and Packers today. Not much to talk about. Man, when I finally have time to sit down, watch an NFL game, and recap it, this is the game we got. Single digits in Green Bay. A real cold, dreary game, and pretty much a bad game. But I'm still going to recap it. I'm going to have fun doing so. Hopefully you have fun watching. So the Vikings dominated the Green Bay Packers today up in Lambeau. And of course, man, you look at how the Minnesota Vikings have been playing this season. They've been absolutely dominant. Now their record is sitting at 12-3, and I believe they will finish 13-3 as next week. I believe they face the Chicago Bears. They could face the Lions. Either way, I don't care. They're going to win their last game. To me, there's too much on the line, as they could still be the #1 seed in the NFC. I think in order for that to happen, though, I think the Eagles have to lose out, so we'll see about that. But regardless, I think the Rams will win this week, so the Vikings will need to win to keep their bye week. Okay, so they won't be the #1 seed, but they'll still need to keep that bye week, be the #2 seed, and have a bye, which is so important, I think, this year more than other years, because whoever gets in the NFC, you don't want to face them, okay? Even the 6th seed, I wouldn't love facing right now. Let's say the Dallas Cowboys are that 6th seed. I don't want to face them. The Falcons, I don't want to face them. The Lions, I don't mind, but I still don't want to face them. I think the bye week is huge this year in the NFC, and the AFC doesn't matter. Whoever makes the 6th seed probably isn't going to do anything, but I believe here in the NFC, it does matter. So the Vikings need to secure that, and they came one step closer today by beating the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. Look at Case Keenum, and now let's have a good conversation about this quarterback thing. I always mention this, I always, make a little bit of comment about this in my weekly picks videos, but now we can actually have a bit of a discussion during this game recap. So Vikings fans, can you please explain to me why any of you are saying anything about Teddy Bridgewater? Because I really don't get it. Yes, he's cute, okay? He's been a nice player for the Minnesota Vikings. He's come in, he's been a decent quarterback in a time where the Vikings thought they wouldn't be able to draft a franchise quarterback. They had not drafted a franchise quarterback in over a decade, I would argue. I understand the Teddy Bridgewater appeal. He tore his leg apart. It was horrible. It was graphic. It was awful. And he finally came back, and it's a great story. But people, Case Keenum is currently playing better than Teddy Bridgewater has ever played. That cannot be argued. Putting this game, adding this to his resume, he has 21 passing touchdowns this year in about 8, 9, or 10 games. Teddy Bridgewater in a 16-game season, most he's ever gotten is 14, okay? Case Keenum is just better. He's more prolific right now. Now, I understand why you're afraid, because Teddy Bridgewater's contract is running up after this season, and you want to see a bit of Teddy Bridgewater. But people, it's week 16. The time for that is over. You need to have your team set for the playoffs. You have Case Keenum starting at this point. You cannot change right now. It is too late for that, and he's playing too well for that. If this was a situation like the Denver Broncos had a couple years ago, when Peyton Manning was on the bench and Brock Osweiler was starting and his play was starting to go down, and we know Peyton Manning's great pedigree, I completely understand putting Peyton Manning back in the lineup. But in this situation, where Teddy Bridgewater's pedigree is not that great, Case Keenum's been playing better than the other guy ever has, and we're in week 16 at this point, there's no conversation. Even if Sam Bradford comes back in a week or two, there is no conversation. In week 16, 17, going into the playoffs, your quarterback situation needs to be set. And when the other guy is playing well and the other guys are not great, and they are not great in Sam Bradford and Teddy Bridgewater, you must stay with what you have. And I understand why you are also fearful of Case Keenum. This is a guy that in years past has not been very good. And I guarantee you, in years to come, he probably won't be very good. This is probably an anomaly season, a season that's an outlier. He's probably going to be back to the same old Case Keenum maybe as soon as next year, maybe as soon as next week. But until he is, you gotta stick with him. If you want to head into next season making a change, that is fine. But you would be nuts to me to change right now. Your defense is playing well. Case Keenum is not turning the ball over. He's doing everything anything you could ask at the quarterback position, and I'm not going to supplant him for Teddy Bridgewater, who has never played this well, Sam Bradford, who has never played this well, and would disrupt the flow offensively. No way, no chance, no way. And Case Keenum, again, he could play awful next week. The Vikings lose their bye. They lose in the first round of the playoffs, and it would be disastrous, and it would suck, and you would look back, and you would say, man, we should have started Teddy Bridgewater, Sam Bradford. But what could also happen, he could lead you to and win the Super Bowl. That's how well he's playing. So that's my thoughts on that. In terms of this actual game, I just had to get that out of the way. In terms of this actual game, he played well yet again. Now, I did not love the quarterback play today. I did not love the running back play today. I did not love the wide receiver play today. The offenses were awful, and mainly because of the weather for the most part. But they weren't really adjusting well either. I saw way too many deep shots today that were, number one, inaccurate, and number two, stupid. I don't know why these quarterbacks were insisting upon throwing the ball deep. Case Keenum, not as much. Hundley, definitely. And we'll get to Hundley in a second. So I did not love that. But Case Keenum threw the touchdown to Stephon Diggs. He moved the chains well, good. He should have hit Adam Thielen on a deep pass. He missed him, whatever. And he should have targeted Thielen more today. But, look, they were up early. They ran the ball a lot after that. In fact, they ran it more than they passed it today. So you can't really say much about Case Keenum's performance today. I gave it a BB+. I thought he played well. Running backs today, they ran more with Latavius Murray than they did Jerick McKinnon. That's pretty much been the case lately, but still a bit surprising there. Murray got 21 carries, McKinnon got 7. Interesting distribution there, especially when McKinnon got 6 yards a carry and Murray only got 3.3, but whatever. The thing that really concerns me moving forward, I don't think this is quite good enough. I do think to win the Super Bowl, you need to have some sort of decent, consistent run game. I know the Patriots won last year without one, but they have Tom freaking Brady. Okay, so that's just a different case there. You look at other recent Super Bowl winners, the Broncos, C.J. Anderson, they didn't have a great running game either, but I would argue it was a little bit better than this, maybe about the same. So that's okay. That's okay. I can actually buy that then. So it could work. It could work. I would like just a little more of a consistent run game, but you're going to take what you can get right now from Minnesota. All right, move on to the wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen. They're a great combination today. They weren't too prolific statistically, which sucked for me a little bit because I own Stephon Diggs in one of my fantasy leagues, but he did well. I mean, he has 60 reception yards and 1 touchdown. That's good. Okay, that's 12 fantasy points for me, and I'm happy. You look at Adam Thielen, though, not much. 2 receptions, 24 yards. And he was targeted 6 times. I felt it should have been targeted more. Keenum did miss him a couple times, so that was unfortunate. David Morgan, this weird tight end for the Minnesota Vikings with this weird long hair. I mean, this is a Viking, okay? You're talking about the Minnesota Vikings. This was a true Viking that they had on the football field. They look like they took this guy straight out of the North in Game of Thrones. This is a Viking that they found here on the football field. But whatever, he had a nice first down in this game, a 23-yard reception that moved the chains for them. And look, this offense wasn't great. Laquan Treadwell, I can't believe this guy. I can't believe that he can't do anything in this league. Look, I understand he ran a 4.7 40, not even at the combine, at his pro day because he was too afraid to run at the combine. But this guy dominated at Ole Miss. He wasn't the most prolific wide receiver ever, but he was pretty freaking good. Broke 1,000 yards. Yeah, he had Chad Kelly at quarterback, but that's not the best college quarterback. I can't believe Laquan Treadwell is not doing anything in this league. I just can't believe it, but at this point, it's just true. This is a bust. It is an absolute B-U-S-T bust here in Laquan Treadwell. Again, I can't believe it. But that's what he is, and it's so unfortunate to me because, again, this guy played well at Ole Miss, but at this point, he is a bust. You look at the defense for the Minnesota Vikings, Harrison Smith, absolute beast, and what a travesty indeed that this guy was not voted to the Pro Bowl. Absolutely ridiculous. Shame on anyone and everyone involved in the process of selecting the Pro Bowl safeties. Not only did Harrison Smith miss it, as did Kevin Byard, the Tennessee Titan, who is leading the league in interceptions last I checked, and this is ridiculous. Although now Harrison Smith may be next to him after this 2-interception game. Regardless, ridiculous. He played great today. 2 great interceptions. Harrison freaking Smith. You look at Xavier Rhodes and Terrence Newman. They pretty much, shut down the Green Bay Packer wide receivers today. For the most part, they looked good. They were good. Trey Waynes also involved there. Anthony Barr, got close to injuring another quarterback, so he's still doing his thing. Eric Kendricks running around like an idiot, and that's the Vikings defense. Okay, Linval Joseph doing his thing. They're great. We know that they're great. They're great. We move on to the Green Bay Packers. Now the Green Bay Packers part of the program. Brett Hundley. Okay, so look, I'm encouraged by this guy. Look, I remember heading into the 2014 NFL season, he was right up there with Jameis Winston and Marcus Mariota in terms of NFL draft prospects, in terms of ranking them. To me, it was Winston, Mariota, Hundley, and they were close. Then we went through that collegiate season, Brett Hundley's last season, and he did not play well, ended up being a 5th round draft pick the year after that. And he's been sitting behind Aaron Rodgers. And you can see the potential that he has. You can see what we were enamored by from his performance at UCLA his first couple of years. But he's just not a guy yet that can move the chains consistently. He processes things a bit slow for me, and at times he just throws the ball up there. I saw way too many deep shots from Brett Hundley today that were, number one, inaccurate, and number two, stupid, as I aforementioned. Times where you're just throwing it up just for who knows sake. Like, if one, it was a 4th and 2, he waited not even a second, maybe 2 seconds, and then he just threw the ball up to down the right side of the field for no reason. It was inaccurate. It was bad. On a 4th and 2, you still have a chance to win the game. You just threw the game away for almost no reason, almost no chance of completing that pass. You're just hoping that God puts the ball in his hands, that you're just throwing it up to fade into God to do something for you. You have to make the play there. But at the same time, okay, he wasn't helped out too much by his receivers, but I felt that was a bit on him as well, because I thought he was targeting the wrong receivers. Too many targets to Michael Clark Duncan today. Look, his last name isn't Duncan, but I just had to add it. Michael Clark, this 6'6", 217-pound wide receiver. He's huge, but this guy can't play. Look, I understand he had the 19-yard reception, traveling to the right side of the field, diving, leaping, and making the catch. He bobbled it a bit, but he made the catch. But outside of that, he did nothing. And then did you see this pathetic attempt at a touchdown catch by this guy? Okay, 4th and 3. The Packers were, around the 10-yard line. They were in the red zone. That's the important point. Brett Hundley is throwing to this man in hopes that he can come down with a touchdown and make this a one-possession game. And what does he do? I don't even know what he does. He completely whiffs on catching this ball that he really could have caught. He pulled his arms in too quick. It's like he wasn't even looking for the ball. It's like he was blind. It's like he was blind, like he was Stevie Wonder out there on the football field, trying to sense where the ball was, like Mr. Miyagi or something. I don't know what he was doing. This karate kung fu nonsense. So this guy stinks. Okay, I've already made my conviction on this guy. I don't need to see anything more. That's my sentence. He stinks. I know he's an undrafted guy out of Marshall. This was his first real game. This was not a good first impression. Maybe he can improve, but for right now, this was ridiculous. He also targeted Lance Kendricks, who's awful. I mean, Lance Kendricks is awful, and he's been awful for years. The Rams were putting up with it because they weren't good enough and smart enough to add a tight end worth of crap. So he was on the roster. Now he's on this roster, and he's garbage. He's awful. He had a horrible drop, 3rd and 3, on the play right before Michael Clark Duncan's drop, and it was bad. Okay, so just bad plays, just bad. It ended up being quite humorous. Brett Hundley under 50% completion percentage, 17-40. Look, do not start this guy. I think he should be a free agent, not after this year, after next year. If the Packers want to keep him as a backup, that's fine. If anyone like the Bills, because the Bills love to do this, go after this guy, or maybe the Browns and attempt to start this guy, you're going to have a problem. Look, he has nice plays. I mean, this guy has some nice plays, but he's just not a starting quarterback right now. And we're saying that now 3 years into his career, he probably just isn't going to be, most likely, but who knows? Maybe down the road he has a Case Keenum type of sentence and we'll look out for him. But for right now, Hundley sit on the bench next year. Running backs, Jamal Williams, he's okay. 15 carries, 58 yards. I felt they should have ran it more of the Packers, but, they just turned the ball over twice in the red zone, one on downs, one, on the ridiculous interception by Brett Hundley, which was ridiculous. So they really couldn't do that. They, fell down early. You just end up throwing after that. But I felt they should have ran it more, though. I do feel that a bit. And you look at the wide receivers outside of Clark and Kendricks, I'm concerned. when you look at this Packers wide receiver core right now. Jordy Nelson, he's only 32 years old. I don't want to act like this guy's T.O. or Randy Moss in terms of age. But, man, this guy's, he looks like he's done. Today, 3 receptions for 11 yards, could not shake the Minnesota Vikings cornerbacks and Terrence Newman, Trey Waynes, and Xavier Rhodes. He couldn't shake him at all to save his life. Randall Cobb hasn't done much of anything. Not one of these men has broken 100 receiving yards, and that's with Aaron Rodgers. Not one game have they broken 100 receiving yards, not one game. And that concerns me tremendously. You're talking Devontae Adams. I think he's the best wide receiver right now on the Green Bay Packers. And guess what? He's an upcoming free agent. He was out for this game. He came into this game, right? He came on the field yelling at the referees. This Green Bay Packers wide receiver core that we used to look at and say, oh, it's a strength for this football team, it is devolving fast. This is concerning. I think they need to add more talent here. Their running backs are fine, but they're not that dynamic. I think they need to add more talent there if they can. There's only so much you can do in one off season. So if you don't, it's not the worst thing in the world, but wide receivers, I think they need upgrading. Because I think you've been getting away with Aaron Rodgers hitting these people in the eyeballs. And now you're seeing the problem where you don't have a quarterback that's that good. Okay, it becomes a problem. Outside of the wide receivers, the defense, not much to really say here. I mean, Kenny Clark is playing better, so I like seeing that. He is going to be about as good as I expected. Kyler Fackrell, he came in, he had a sack, so I'm impressed by this guy. Both these men were in the 2016 NFL draft, as was Blake Martinez. So you're getting production from that draft class. You have to like that to me. Outside of that, look, the Packers they're just missing players right now. They're not that dynamic. They're not that good. That's what you're seeing. They're still decent, right? They've been able to win some games without Aaron Rodgers, and that is impressive. They haven't completely fallen like the New York Giants or the Indianapolis Colts, and that's good. But at the same time, we now see what Aaron Rodgers has been masking, a team that's not that good. Now, Jordy Nelson at one point was very good, but now we're seeing, he's not that good anymore. Now, maybe he's going to resurge next year because, again, he's not that old. So I don't want to say that he's completely done, but he looks done. Randall Cobb just looks not that good anymore. It looks bad. Okay, it doesn't look awful. With Aaron Rodgers, I think this still would have been a 10-11 win team. But you need to make improvements if you're trying to be a Super Bowl contender next year. So there you go. Those are my thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. Real quick, let's look at their upcoming games. So the Vikings, they go up against the Chicago Bears next week in Minnesota. That is a W for them. And the Green Bay Packers, they go up against the Detroit Lions. And where will that matchup be played? It will be played in Detroit. That's right, because I remember the Lions beat the Packers in Lambeau earlier this year. I expect the Lions to win this matchup, and the Lions finished 10-6. That's what I'm predicting right now, so that'll be interesting, but we'll see if that actually comes to fruition. Until next time, this has been MJ of Sports Fan Entertainment. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, and most importantly, to subscribe. And until next time, I'm out. See you all later.